Hey there again, it's Lori from Brand Strength. Last week we talked about how to get your emails opened, and I told you if you have been treating your list badly and you don't know how to get back into the good graces of your email list, you might want to tune into this video. And here I am delivering. In this video we're going to talk about how to get back into the good graces of your email list and stay there. I'm Lori Reeves, the founder of Brand Strength, and I help service providers strengthen their brand so they can make more impact and more money. Come on back in a few seconds and we'll talk about how to get back into the good graces of your email list. Okay, so let's talk about how to get back into and stay in the good graces of your email list. If you've been mistreating your email list, maybe you're not sending emails like you should, or maybe you're not sending the emails that you should be sending, and people are not opening your emails, not responding to what you're asking them to do, it may be time to take a look at your list and see if you can warm them back up a little bit and get back into their good graces. Now I have 3 ideas for you today about how to get back into and stay in the good graces of your list. The first thing that you should do is give without pitching. Now, you might be wondering, what am I supposed to give them? You might not actually have things that you can give. So I'm not necessarily talking about creating new things. So think about what you do when you're trying to get new people onto your list. You create something that you can give away for free in return for somebody's email list. Their email address, right? So you have this freebie or opt-in or lead magnet or whatever you want to call it, and a lot of times you're using that and giving it to new people on your list. But have you sent that freebie to the people who are already on your list? Maybe you have a plethora or a folder full of freebies that you've created and used in different times and different ways to try to get people on your email list that could be very valuable to the people who are already on your list. So look through what you have already created freebie wise and see if you can give those freebies to your list. Now, even if you gave it to them before, a lot of times we'll download something, put it in a folder, we forget that it was there, or maybe we didn't even see it when it came in. So don't feel bad about sending the same thing that you've already sent to your list. Just make sure that they know that it's valuable and that you want them to have it. So look through the things that you can give that you've already created. If you don't have a lot, then think of ways that you could create a freebie and again, give that to your list. You want to make sure that you are showing your list that you're there to help them and not just to take something from them, which is their money when they pay you for the programs that you're offering, right? So if you have pitched too much in the past, people might be used to that pitching, and that may be why they're not opening their email, because they feel like every time they open an email from you, it's going to be you asking them for money, and they're tired of that. So if that's what you've been doing, you need to make sure that you're giving a lot, and email a little bit more often than you normally would so that you can show your audience that you are giving something. And be sure too that when you're in your subject line, you're letting on that you're giving them a gift that's valuable so that they open that email and know when they see that subject line that you're not asking them for a sale. This is a gift that you're giving for free. So that's tip number 1. Once you have people back in your good graces, tip number 2 is about keeping them in your good graces. So if you want to make sure that you're not going to recreate the same problem, you need to make sure that you're using the 80-20 rule in the content that you're giving or sending out. Okay, so the 80-20 rule means 80% of what you're sending is just giving information and not asking for anything in return. Now, I'm not talking about like a response. If you want to ask for a response, that's totally fine. I'm talking about not asking for a sale. The other 20% of the time, you can ask for a sale. So if you are only emailing your list 1 time a week, that means that you're not even pitching to them once a month. Okay? I want you to think about that. Every 5 weeks is how often you will be pitching if you're using the 80-20 rule. Okay? So just make sure that you're following that and not pitching too often so that people always feel like if they open an email from you, it's the same tired thing that you're trying to get them to buy something. Just make sure you're following that 80-20 rule when you have a list that is engaging with your emails. Now, I said don't ask them for anything in those other 80% of the emails. Asking people to click on a link or hit reply and give you the answer to something is not the same kind of ask as pitching a product. So go ahead and encourage those responses and those actions so that people get used to doing what you ask them to do, right? Make sure that if you ask them to click a link, you give them a reason to click the link, and they actually do click the link more often than not. So tip number 3 is about building trust with consistency. Again, we were just talking about how often you email your list. There's a lot of advice out there about how often you should email your list. I think it's a very personal thing. It depends on your audience, it depends on you, it depends on your content, it depends on a lot of things. So I don't think that there's one hard and fast rule about how often you should email your list, but if you can prepare them for how often they can expect to hear from you and fulfill that promise, then that builds trust. It shows them that you stand behind your word. You're a person who says they do what they say they're going to do. And it just shows that you can be reliable and trustworthy. So make sure that you are emailing consistently and maintaining that consistency with the tempo that you promised people you would do. Now, if there are times when you're launching and you are sending emails more frequently than you said you would, be sure that you're giving people a way to say, I don't want to receive these emails. I'm not interested this time, but I still want to stay on your list. Make sure that you can do that so that people don't feel like they have to, stay on your list and see all those emails. It could get people to unsubscribe if they feel like you're sending emails way too much because it's right in the middle of a launch. And you don't want people to unsubscribe just because they don't want to hear about this launch. So make sure that you're giving them a way to say, I don't want to hear about this, but I still want to stay on your list so that you can, again, stay in the good graces and make sure that you're fulfilling the promise that you made when you first started emailing them. Now, if you are still building your list and you need help with understanding what to give to an audience so that you can get somebody's email address in return, I would love for you to download my free guide if you haven't already. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Making More Money in Your Service-Based Business. You can click the link below to grab it or go to makemoremoneyguide.com. And again, it's just free, and all I need from you is your email address in return. So make sure that you download that because it will help you understand how to put together everything you need to have in place so that you can build a solid email list. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope to see you again on a future episode.